So in chapter 11, which is titled The Universal Form, Lord, Arjuna requested to see the universal form of the Lord. And to fulfill the desire of Arjuna, Lord Krishna showed his all-expansive form, and he actually gave him the eyes to see him, that universal form. So he showed all his opulences in that. And he also showed how all the soldiers of both parties were entering his mouths of fire and dying. So in a way, all the destruction of Kurukshetra was already predestined, and Lord has a clear plan of killing all the people in this. So all the 100 Kauravas would enter the mouths of Lord and die. It's all predestined. Arjuna is just a mere instrument in the hands of Lord to show, that's all. Otherwise, it's already predestined. So after seeing all of this, Arjuna gets terrified and he requests Lord to again come back to his normal form, right? It is like, for example, you are watching a 3D movie. Now, you are watching a very terrifying movie. There are demons and all. And suddenly those demons actually come upon you, like, in real, like in 3D, right? It is very terrifying. That is the experience of Arjuna when he's seeing the universal form. There are so many mouths there, and fire is emitting from each of those mouths. Some are very ghastly. So Arjuna was terrified and he requests Krishna to actually restore his two-handed form, sattvic form. So Lord Krishna explains about this form. Arjuna offers prayers to it. Yeah, and Krishna instructed him to be an instrument in the hands of Lord. Right? So that is 11th chapter. So this chapter, Arjuna inquires further comparison of devotion service with other forms, right? Other forms of yoga, right? Impersonal form, like that. So last week we covered first 7 verses, where Lord compares bhakti with impersonalism. Impersonalism means there are a class of people who believe that God does not have form. Right? They're called impersonalist. Personalist means we treat Lord like a person. We worship him, we express our heart, we talk to Lord, we pray to Lord, we perform bhajans in his respect, right? So all these are done with the understanding that Lord is a person and he had feelings and he accepts our prayers. He is a person with who we can express to. Impersonalists are people who do not accept that Lord has a personality. Unfortunately, these people, there are a lot of people who, in the name of yoga, they also consider themselves as spiritualists, but actually they don't accept the personal form of the Lord as the supreme. They accept Lord Krishna has arrived, but they think the origin of Lord Krishna is that impersonal higher truth. Lord Krishna is a higher truth, but who is the source is the question, right? The source they think is some impersonal supremacy from which Lord Krishna, the Lord, comes. They accept Lord is great, but they accept the origin of Lord is something higher than Lord. Bhakti, in Bhakti edition, we accept Lord as the source of everything, including the Brahma Jyoti. The Brahma Jyoti is the highest truth for impersonalists. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Brahmanohi pratishtaham, means that I am the source of that Brahman. Krishna clearly says. Brahma Jyoti is actually considered the effulgence of the Lord. The Lord, light emanating from the Lord is considered the Brahmajyoti for us. Right? But devotees consider like that. But the impersonalists think that Lord doesn't have form, that Brahmajyoti is the highest. Right? So that's the difference. So there was a comparison of bhakti with other poses. Krishna himself says that those who worship the unmanifested form, right? So Arjuna clearly inquired, who is considered to be perfect? Is it the devotee or the person who performs the yoga, or the jnanis who worship the impersonal Brahman, right? Lord is very clear, right? Those who fix their minds on my personal form, right, and are always engaged in worshipping me with great transcendental faith are considered to me by me to be the most perfect. Very clear. Who will fix their mind on Krishna's form? The only devotees do that. My personal form. See, clearly the words also say, Mayavesha Mana Yemam, whose mind is fixed on me. Nitya Yukta Upasate. Nitya Yukta means always, constantly. Upasate means worship. Who worship me always. Nitya Yukta Upasate. Shraddhaye Paryopetas. Right? How? The transcendental faith. You may not see Lord, but still you worship Him, accepting the Vedic truth based on the wisdom of Acharyas, based on the wisdom of the books. Even though we don't see, just based on faith, Shraddha, we actually accept Lord and worship Him. So, even Lord Krishna says they are the highest, they are to be the most perfect. So, what we are practicing is clearly bona fide. If somebody says, oh, why are you worshipping Krishna like that? Do you really need to do that? You can see, that is all for sentimentalists. You can sit down in meditation, that is higher than this. That is all bogus. It's not, doesn't have any base. Here we can have a base on the words of Lord, Bhagavan Uvacha. Should I hear Bhagavan or should I hear all these people who say this is higher, that is higher? We accept the words of Lord. This is the reason we perform devotion service. It's not because we like to do that. Yeah. What does he say about the other side of the people who worship the unmanifested, meaning the people who are worshipping the impersonal form of the Lord, the Brahmajyoti or Brahman? Those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of senses, beyond the perception, because you can't see it. The all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve. You see, the word at last means and, at the end they will achieve. But those who perform bhakti, achirena, very quickly they will achieve. Krishna says in multiple verses that without much delay they will come to me. But for those who take to the other types of worship, other forms as the higher truth, for them the truth is achieved at last. At last means after a long, long time. See the other words. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature, again further describing on this aspect of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. You see, very clear. Yeah? Klesho adhigataras tesham. Klesho means trouble. Very much. Adhika means a lot. Tesham, of them. So for them, because they are focused on avyakta. Avyakta means which you cannot. Vyakta means which is manifest. Avyakta means unmanifest. Means which you cannot see. Avyakta sakta chetasa. Asakta chetasa means they are attached to the avyakta. Sometimes they know that Lord can be worshipped, but still because of their conditioning, because of their attachment, they are still hankering on the platform of Avyakta. They still want that Avyakta only. They don't want personal form. They don't want to worship the Lord in his personal form as Krishna. Avyakta hi gatir dukkham. Dukkham means misery. Because they're attached to unmanifested, it is very difficult to focus your mind, first of all, right? How will you imagine God in his unmanifest form, right? So it is very dukkha because you cannot focus your mind. You cannot, there is no person to talk to, there is no person to pray to. How do you make progress? So unfortunately, such people who are attached, avyakta, shakta, ashakta to avyakta, then they go through dukkha. Very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Embodied means who have a body. We all have a body. Deha, deha vadbhir avapyate. Those who have achieved body, right? All of us have a body. For the people who have a body, it is very difficult to consider the unmanifest Lord as the supreme and focus their mind and worship and make progress in that discipline. Right? Because there is nothing to reciprocate. Therefore, the Bhakti yogi accept the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind which can thus be applied. Yeah, it's a nice purport. Can read. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation. But means he's talking about a different category of people. What are those people? Those are people yetu sarvani karmani maya sannyasa matpara. Matpara means those who are my devotees. Matpara. Ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. Mam dhyayanta upasate means to me who worship. Dhyaya. Dhyaya upasate means worship again. Tesham aham samudhartha. I am the one quickly delivering them. From where? Mrityu samsara sagara. I will deliver them from this mrityu samsara. Me, myself, I am going to take care of them personally. Bhavami na chirat pardha. Chirat means quick. I am the quick deliverer from the samsara of material existence. Maya veshita chetasam. Maya veshita means just fix their mind. Fix your mind on me. Now read this. Please read this. Anyone?
But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Partha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death.
Those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me. Right? Some people take sannyas. They don't do anything else. They just constantly serve Lord or his devotees. They can do mandir marjan. They can worship the deity. They can cook for the Lord. They can share the message of God like Bhagavad Gita. They chant the holy names. They go to pilgrimage. They visit various places. They share this knowledge of wisdom there. So always devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotion service and always meditating upon me. Always meditating upon me. Having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pita, for them I am the swift deliverer. Swift means quick. From the ocean of birth and death, I'm going to take care of them. They don't need to worry. See, the purpose of this is that this verse. Nayami paramam sthanam arche adi gatim vina garudaskandham aropya yacheham anivarita. It's from Varaha Purana. What does it mean? The purpose of this verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planets. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord Himself. He clearly states here that He Himself becomes the swift deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents, and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by His great mercy, comes at once, riding on His bird carrier Garuda, and at once delivers the devotee from the material existence. Yeah. Yeah. Suppose a man falls in the ocean, may struggle very hard, and may be very expert in swimming. He cannot save himself. If you are in the middle of ocean and you are a great swimmer, can you deliver yourself? Even though you are a great swimmer, the ocean is like exhaustive. It's so much. You will be tired by your struggle. So this material world is also like that. It is that's why it is called Mrityu Samsara Sagarat. It is considered like a Bhavasagara. Bhavasagara means an ocean of misery. Mrityu, Krishna himself said, Mrityu Samsara Sagara. It's not normal place. It's a Mrityu Samsara Sagara. Means here always Mrityu is there. There is death. Again and again and again and again. The Jiva goes through some. And it is like ocean, unending ocean, always, continuously, Jivas take birth and death, birth and death. So to deliver, it's very difficult even for expert swimmer, right? But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from the material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotion service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotion service to all other paths. So many verses like this. Conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says himself, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayisami masucha. One should give up all other processes. Sarva dharman parityajya. Parityajya means give up. Sarva dharma means whatever dharmas you are following, just give up. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Just mam ekam means only me. What do? Sharanam vraja. Take shelter. Sharanam. Take shelter of me. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. Sarva papebhyo means all your bad karma. Sarva papebhyo. Aham tvam. I am going to take away all of. Krishna personally assuring the devotee, I am going to take away all your bad actions, karma. And what do? Moksha ishyami masuchaha. I am going to deliver you. Moksha, I am going to give you moksha. Nobody can assure us like this. Right? So there is no need for one to consider the sinful actions of his past life. You may have done so many bad things in your past life, but because you are taking shelter of Lord fully, therefore Krishna himself becomes the deliverer of you. Let everyone take shelter of Supreme, Omnipotent God, Krishna, that is the highest perfection of life. Mayyeva mana adhastva.
Mayyeva mana adhastva.
Mayi buddhim niveshaya.
Mayi buddhim niveshaya.
Nivasishyasi mayyeva.
निवसिष्यासि मयि एव
अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः।
अथ ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः।
Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt.
Krishna recommends, Mayeva mana adastva. Just keep your mind always fixed on. Mayi buddhim niveshita. Your intelligence means your decision making should always consider me. Yeah. When you do that, then you will always live in me. Means your thoughts always go around me. That is best for you. Yeah. Please read, Prabhu.
One who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee.
Yeah. So how can we always fix our mind? The easiest way is to chant whenever we have the opportunity to chant. Keep the holy name in your tongue. That way you can keep your mind on Lord. Right? So for some people it's the mouth always just moves. I have seen, so when I went to Vrindavan, I saw first time like some devotees whose mouth always moves. I wonder what do they do. Later on I heard that they actually chant the holy name all the time. They cannot just stop. It's just like an addiction, right? So a lot of people have so many addictions, drinking wine or so many bad habits. Similarly, some devotees got the habit of always chanting the name of Lord. That's the easiest way. When you chant, you can remember Lord. So fixing your mind, you can always live with Lord. Right? So Krishna is giving a hint on how to remember Lord. Fix your mind always. Atah chittam samadhatum
Atah chittam
चित्तं समादातुं
na saknoshi mayi sthitam
मयि स्थितम्
abhyasa yogena
योगेन तातो
mamichatum dhananjaya.
माम् इच्छतं धनञ्जय.
Please read.
My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me.
The best is if you can fix your mind on me. You fix your mind on me, then you always live in me and live with me. But it's not always practical for a lot of people. So if you cannot, then just follow the regulative principles. Regulative principles means, okay, every day you chant for some time. You offer arati, you offer bhoga, just whatever is prescribed in scriptures as methods of devotion service. There are Ashtanga, there is Navavida Bhakti, right? So you can practice any one of them or multiple of them. So you can, one way or the other, you can continue to worship me. Regulated means, so if you have taste, automatic taste, meaning you have a natural devotion towards Lord. Some people are naturally disposed to perform bhakti. It's called Raganuga. It's called Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti means you have a spontaneous love for Lord. But 99% of people don't have such spontaneous love to begin with, especially in Kali Yuga, because When you have tinges of lust, greed, anger, envy, all these anarthas, uh, the heart is not a residential place for Lord. So naturally, Lord is not manifest in the heart of the people, right? They have some inclination to perform bhakti, understand Gita, study Gita, but there is no natural disposition or natural inclination or uh, spontaneous love for Lord, right? If you have spontaneous love, the best thing, right? You can just keep chanting the holy name and you always are immersed in. But if you don't, then follow some regulations, meaning at least every day chant 2 rounds, every day offer bhoga, every day offer some bhajan or prayer, something like that, some regulation. So slowly, as you know, as you perform bhakti in a regulated way, your heart gets slowly purified. As you get purified, you get the natural desire to serve Lord. Right? So it's a steady method. Right? This is where it's called sadhana bhakti. The first one is the first one that Lord specified in the, because that's the best. Lord specified that as the best thing to do. That is called raganuga bhakti. If one cannot do that, perform regulative bhakti, regulative principles of bhakti. Then, in this way, what happens when you perform regulated devotion service? Slowly, you start developing emotions towards the Lord. Right? Oh, Lord is so kind, and you start seeing Lord in every situation in your life. How Lord is helping you in various ways. How Lord is enabling you to chant the holy name. How Lord is, giving you satsang. How Lord is merciful upon you. How Lord is taking care of you. You start seeing all these connections in your life. Then you start loving Lord naturally, just like you love your child. Just imagine, like, we love our children so much, or our mother or father so much. It's natural, it's spontaneous, right? Imagine a person loves God as such, right? A Lord as such, like Lord Krishna as such. Lord is faultless. Lord is all powerful, all beautiful, all, if somebody develops that natural love for Lord, every moment is blissful. The reason is Lord is the most lovable person. Right now, you can imagine, right? Like, just how much you love your child, right? Hey, something happens, if if he or she falls down, you are so sad, right? Do we have such feeling for Lord? We don't at this point. Spontaneous love is about developing or getting to that stage of love through performance of regulative principles. The idea of regulative bhakti is, at some point, naturally we get to the stage of spontaneous love, natural desire to love Lord. So when we achieve that, we are always happy. Just like you can imagine your child and become happy. So similarly, when you think of Lord, you become very happy because you have a connection with Lord. No, right? So bhakti is not just about chanting or hearing a class. It's actually about getting to that stage of love with Lord. Right? It can take time. We have to be patient, and the way to get there is sincere practice of devotion service, and there is no other means. Right? And it is not again achieved by your efforts, it is given, meaning Lord has to be pleased with us, and when that happens, we actually achieve bhakti. It is the mercy of the Lord. It is the, when Lord is pleased with us, then we get there, right? So it's not possible otherwise. In this way, we develop desire. By regulative principles, one actually purifies their heart. Yeah, please read this.
In this verse, two different processes of bhakti yoga are indicated. The first applies to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by transcendental love. And the other is for the one who has not developed an attachment for the Supreme Person by transcendental love. For the second class, there are different prescribed rules and regulations one can follow to be ultimately elevated to the stage of attachment to Krishna.
We discussed that topic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, please read this.
This love of God is now in a dormant state in everyone's heart, and their love of God is manifested in different ways, but it is contaminated by material association. Now the heart has to be purified of the material association, and that dormant natural love for Krishna has to be revived. That is the whole process.
Yeah. So this love of God is something that is always there in everybody's heart. It's just dormant. It's just sleeping, right? It just need to be invoked or manifested. And the method of achieving that is practicing regulated bhakti. Right? It has to be purified of material association. The dormant love will be revived. So when we practice bhakti, it'll revive our natural inclinations of love towards love. Yeah. So how do you practice regulative bhakti is described in this section. Yeah, just read this part.
Yeah. To practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert master, follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, enter the temple, and offer prayers and chant Hare Krishna. Then collect flowers to offer to the deity, cook foodstuffs to offer to the deity, take prasadam, and so on.
Yeah. So this is what we discussed. We should practice at home. Also, we can practice. That's the goodness of Bhakti Yoga. Like most of the other yogas, to achieve, even though the perfection is not the best, even to achieve that, you first need to give up your family life, meditate in a secluded place. Bhakti Yoga can be practiced by anybody and everybody. You can do at your own home without any dependence on anything. Constantly here, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam for pure devotees. Abhyasepi asamardhosi
Abhyasepi
Asmartosi
matkarma paramo bhava
Parama
Karma
Paramo Bhava
madardham ipi karmani
Madhardam Api Karmani
kurvan siddhim avapyasi.
Kurvan Siddhim Avapya
అక్షిత ఆట ఆడతా అంటున్నావా ఆట ఆడతా
Please read.
If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage.
Sometimes some people cannot even perform Bhakti Yoga. They don't have the time or they don't have that inclination. One stage below, Krishna is giving various stages. The best is to naturally love God, right? Spontaneously. But that is only possible for those with pure heart. If you don't have pure heart, but you can practice regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga, chanting Hare Krishna, worshipping Lord at home, offering bhoga, you can do all of that and slowly get to that. If you can't even do that, regulations, then just try to work for me. This is Karma Yoga. Because of by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Work in such a way that you are detached from the fruits of your work. Then you will slowly actually get to a cleaning of your heart stage, and ultimately the goal is to love naturally, right? So this should lead to performing regulated Bhakti Yoga, which should lead to performing Bhakti spontaneously, naturally. Yeah, please read this.
One who is not able even to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of a spiritual master can still be drawn to this perfectional stage by working for the Supreme Lord. How to do this work has already been explained in the 55th verse of the 11th chapter.
Yeah, please read further.
One should be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. There are many devotees who are engaged in the propagation of Krishna consciousness and they require help. So, even if one cannot directly practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, he can try to help such work. Every endeavor requires land, capital, organization, and labor.
Yeah, please. Sorry.
Just as in business, one requires a place to stay, some capital to use, some labor, and some organization to expand, so the same is required in the service of Krishna. The only difference is that in materialism, one works for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that is spiritual activity.
Sometimes, even in Krishna consciousness, there is something called life membership. There are a lot of sympathizers of Krishna conscious movement, meaning they are aligned. They won't chant, they won't, come to temple regularly. They don't study Bhagavad Gita, hear Bhagavad Gita, but they have, appreciation for Krishna consciousness. So they actually donate once a year, and they visit for important festivals like Narasimha Chaturdashi or Janmashtami, and participate in festivals and serve there at the time. So in this way, people can engage, connect themselves in various ways. May not be able to perform Bhakti Yoga actively, but they can spiritualize their efforts, meaning whatever they are earning for their livelihood, they are partly using it for the service of Lord, directly and indirectly. Right? So that is also recommended. Right? One can work for the satisfaction of Lord. Ataitat abhi ashaktosi
Ataitat api asakto se
kartum madyogamam
kartum mad yogam asrita
sarvakarma phalatyagam
sarva phala tyagam
tatah kuru yatatmavan.
tatkuru yatatmavan.
If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act, giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated.
If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, you can't even work. This is the 4th level. Then try to act, giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. Okay. So the difference between the previous one and this one is both are not actually working. They're not performing even regulated bhakti, but this one is called Buddhi Yoga. It's more or less Bhakti Yoga. You're working and offering some of the fruits of your work to Lord. There is appreciation of Krishna consciousness. There is appreciation of Bhakti Yoga, appreciation of Lord. But sometimes people don't even have that. They don't have, unable to work in this consciousness of it. You're working, but you don't have like any thoughts that this is actually for the service of Lord. But still, you can act giving up all results of your work, meaning you work without attachment to the fruits, right? And try to be self-situated. This is actually Nishkama Karma Yoga. Right? The previous one is Nishkama. It's more like Bhakti Yoga still. Right? Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are very, very closely tied. Karma Yoga is, one can be called a Karma Yogi as long as he is detached from the fruits of his work. But an advanced karma yogi is one who sees the, see, if I am working, why should I be detached from the fruits? I should be detached from the fruits because I'm not the owner of the fruits. I'm placed in this world, I'm given some facilities, I'm working in this world to sustain myself, sustain my family. I am taking up some responsibilities in this world, but I'm not the enjoyer of the fruits of my work. That if one is detached from the fruits, his life is, less miserable, or I would say his life is, I mean, if something goes wrong or something doesn't go as per his plan, he's not so miserable if he's detached. Why it should be like that? Because you are an instrument in the hand of God in this world. So naturally, you are not the determiner of the results. So naturally, you're like a spoke in the hub of a wheel, right? So how can you have control on what you can achieve or what you want to fulfill your desire, but it's not in your hands. When one realizes there is some higher control, right? There is a controller of the wheel. I'm just a spoke. When one understands that, that is itself is karma yoga. So after being frustrated with ups and downs of the life, one will realize actually maybe I'm not the enjoyer of the fruits, and gives up the attachment to the fruits. That detachment from fruits of action in itself is called karma yoga. But when one thinks, hey, maybe this is all actually an arrangement of the Lord for my own purification. So maybe I should rather offer, I should not just be detached from the enjoyment spirit of the fruits of my action. Instead, maybe I should offer these fruits to Lord. That is actually bhakti yoga. That is the previous verse. Right? So Krishna is going one step down, one step down. So when one understands, maybe it is Krishna for whom the whole thing is manifested here. Just like Arjuna saw that all these Kauravas were already died. They already are entering the mouths of the fire of Lord. So the whole thing was already planned. Arjuna, you just become an instrument in my hand. That's what Krishna said in that, right? So similarly, when one thinks that he is just an instrument in the hand of Lord and everything is actually happening according to perfect plan of the Lord, that is the previous step, karma yoga, where one offers the fruits of his action to Lord. Try to work for me because working for me, just like Arjuna did. Right? Arjuna, what did he do? He worked for Lord to establish dharma. Is the plan of Lord, and Arjuna worked for it. Because by working for me, you will come to perfect states. Right? So that is better. Right? If you can't even do that, at least work without detachment. Understand that you are not the enjoyer of fruits. Right? So that is this verse. Right? If you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then trying to act, giving up all results of your work. Because if you are attached to fruits of your work, you'll be miserable in this world. You cannot be. So try to be self-situated. Just situate yourself in that situation. Yeah. Yeah, please read. Please read.
It may be that one is unable even to sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of some other impediments. If one attaches himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objections from family members or so many other difficulties. For one who has such a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated result of his activities to some good cause.
Yeah. So if you can't directly, be connected in any way to God, then just give up the, attachment to the fruits of your action. This is, by definition, karma yoga. The karma yoga that you can say that qualifies at the minimum level, right? Yeah. So that is this. Yeah. So can you read this last line?
In Bhagavad Gita, we find it is stated Yatah
Pravrittir bhutan.
Pravrittir Bhutanam. If one decides to sacrifice for the supreme cause, even if he does not know that the supreme cause is Krishna, he will come gradually to understand that Krishna is the supreme cause by the sacrificial method.
He will gradually come to understand that Krishna is the supreme cause by the sacrificial method. So he may not know Krishna is the supreme, but just by performance of sacrifice means let me be not attached to the fruits. Do just like the cashier when he counts, he's never attached to the money, how much is coming, how much is going. He just counts, right? Cashier never feels, oh, I lost 100,000, somebody took away from bank today. Or he will never think, oh, 200,000 was deposited today. So bank is, we are getting richer. He'll never consider like that. He's just a cashier, right? So if one performs his work like that, like a cashier, actually this all belongs to bank, not me. So if one engages in his work like that, even if he doesn't know where this money is going, if he doesn't know that bank is the real proprietor, I just need to, my job is to count cash, right? And sometimes credit, sometimes debit. I'll just focus on that duty properly. Then at some point, it will click. Maybe there is somebody who is benefiting from this whole transaction, right? So then he will inquire. Then, if he starts becoming sad, oh, today 200,000 was taken away. Oh, suddenly 100,000 came. Oh, I'm so happy today. That is, the fluctuation of mind is not, sustainable. It's miserable. Right? Ideal ways, I just give up, any attachment to my actions.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
So people, those who are properly situated in the bhakti, you said that they will attain Krishna quickly. Then what about people like those who are some other kind of people you just said, like they are sympathetic for the Krishna conscious, but still they are not able to do the bhakti. So will it take more time for them to attain the Lord?
Yeah. Ultimately, one should purify his heart. The only way one achieves highest perfection is when one's heart is purified and he develops natural love for Lord. Because the idea is to go back to Vaikuntha or spiritual planets, not come back to this material existence. Soul is eternal and it should go to eternal realm. Vaikuntha is eternal realm, or Goloka or Vaikuntha. Material world is a temporary realm, right? Everything is temporary. Even bodies are temporary and we keep changing the bodies here. We are stuck here temporarily right now. But the soul itself is, all through your life, you are the same person, even though the body changes. And at death, the body completely changes. So similarly, just like there is a soul within this body, there is a eternal existence itself totally. Because we are eternal, we should go to the eternal reality. And when one understands that, right? Until one understands and develops that, for simple example is, until you have a real desire to come to America, for example, right? You won't really come to America because you are not qualified. Because even though you are attempting, your heart is not there, then you can't come here. Right? Only when you develop the desire and you qualify yourself, then you come here. So if he is only just a, by definition karma yogi, who is not even attached to God, just performs in a detached fashion, he will advance in this life. But such advancement is not perfect because there is so much further to go, right? So that's why Krishna in 647 clearly says, right? You may advance, but you won't achieve highest goal. Yoginam api sarvesham madgaterantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yoma sameyukta tamamataha. Of all yogis, Bhakti yogi, Jnana yogi, Dhyana yogi, so many yogis are there. The one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and he is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So ultimately, one only when that yogi, he may be various yogis, but ultimately when he becomes a bhakti yogi, that's when he achieves perfection. So he may practice all these other things, but in short, like they won't achieve the highest perfection until they develop that attachment to the spiritual realm, right? When they develop that attachment and they become serious and seriously endeavor for it, then they will achieve that, right? So they won't, I mean, if you are just a pure karma yogi, your destination is not clearly determined. You may qualify yourself from getting out of this world because you have purified your sinful reactions, but doesn't mean that your destination is fixed. One thing is to get, most of the Jnana yogis, their focus is getting out of the material world. Means this place is a place of misery, I need to get out of this place. But Bhakti yogis, the goal is to go and serve the Lord in the eternal realm, right? So the focus is the destiny. The focus, the mind is always on the destiny, Krishna and his devotees, or Vaikuntha, like that. But for the jnanis and Ashtanga yogis, I'm frustrated with this. It's like I need to get out of this one. That is the kind of goal they have, right? They have no clear destination where they are heading to, right? So their focus is how do I become detached? How do I, get out of this world? Because this place is a place of misery, right? So that's the difference between Bhakti Yoga and other yogas, right? So even if you perform other yogas, you won't get the highest, best, perfect destination, right? Because it all determined is based on what's your focus. Just like I want to get out of India, but I'll never say I want to go to Australia or Spain or Europe or America. I need to have clarity where I am going, why am I going, what is the goal when I go there, when will I come back, what is my duty here. So when you have all the clarity, then you make an endeavor that fulfills that appropriately. If your goal is I need to get out of India, this is a corrupt place, traffic is so bad, then but where are you going? You need to have clarity, right? So that is the difference between Jnana yogis and Jnana yogis. They focus on Brahmajyoti. Right? Brahmajyoti is Lord's impersonal effulgence, and there is no destination there. It's just merging into Brahman, right? But what do you do there? You need to engage yourself in one way or the other, because you are a soul. Soul is active, just like in this body. The soul is expressing its desire to have a job, because of contaminations of the world. It thinks materially and tries to enjoy. But soul per se is an active entity. It needs to be engaged in some way or the other, and it wants always to do this activity. So the only way it can do, it needs some place to express itself. Okay. Yeah. Is that clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, one question, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so we have a lot of grihasthas who are following Krishna conscious movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do they? I mean, so they earn a lot money also, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do they think that this money is? I mean, they will they invest those money in some other things, lands and all, or they'll think that okay, this money is given by God to us, so we don't have to invest, or we don't have to think investing that money, or they'll just keep the money in bank, or they
No.
completely spend money, or they spend half of the money, or 20%, 10% of money to the God. How do they think? Like, in case of brahmacharis, okay, they won't earn money. They'll just spend time in praying God and all. But for grihasthas, how do they situate
Very good question.
their mind, Prabhu?
Yeah. So I mean, it's up to each one of us. There is no mandate that you need to give this much or whatever, right? First thing is, yeah, your goal is such that your money is properly utilized. Okay. And if you have to invest, right? If you have to invest, you can invest in land, or wherever. Right? I mean, sometimes, a lot of companies give stocks. Many people don't even take out those. Perfectly all right. As long as the goal is that, I'm not the enjoyer of all of that. Ultimately, my goal is to raise kids well, donate, serve the temple, and use for proper use, right? The thing that matters is how do you use it. It doesn't. I mean, you could be an investor, an intelligent investor that grows money fast and uses all of that for service of Krishna, right? Of course, you don't put money in wine shops where money grows fast, or places which break regulative principles. But if you are investing in places like even Microsoft or companies that earn money and grow like over a period of time, and your goal is ultimately to use for your needs, for your home or your kids studies or education, that's perfectly all right. Nobody objects, right? As long as what's your motivation, right? Is your motivation to enjoy the money, or is it to properly utilize and serve as much as you can? Right now, you're still maybe in 30s or 40s. This is a period of earning, right? So use your intelligence to earn well, and your goal is never to enjoy it, but to use in the service of Lord at the end of the day, right? As much as you can, and raise family nicely and provide for them nicely, home. That's also your duty. You are not, Arjuna was a family man. He was a king. He was, collecting taxes, building palaces. It doesn't mean he's non-devotee. Kritumaras, Dromaras, all of them, they all set great examples, right? Earning is not wrong. Utilizing in the right way is the thing that one should be mindful of. How, at the same time, earning should not be the constant thing in the mind. That's the main thing. Like, it should not be like, oh, which land should I buy, which place to invest. That shouldn't be constantly running in your mind. You should have time for, chanting your holy names, chanting the holy names. You should prioritize worshipping, going to the temple, going to the satsang, hear Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, study scriptures. So when you have time for all of that, and if you do all the other things, you invest somewhere here and there, which you think is good, is perfectly all right. There is nothing wrong. It's not expression of greed. As long as that greed is to actually to serve ultimately, it's fine, right? So it's a thin line. I mean, a lot of people have, for example, some Vaishya mindset person is there. He's a devotee. Vaishya means his business mind is there, meaning how do I grow my money? Use that in the service of Lord. That's what Krishna says. Whatever inclination you have, use that. Grow your business fast. But ultimately understand you want to, hey, I'm growing, but it's all Krishna given, and I want to do whatever I can to serve whenever there is a need or whenever I want. I should regularly do something to serve Lord, right? So that's the mindset. There is no artificial suppression of your anything can be used in the service of. That's the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. Actually, if you have to follow or achieve perfection in other Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, there are very high conditions that you have to meet before you can actually qualify to practice them. Right? For example, practitioner of Jnana Yogi has to take sannyas to begin with, right? But you see in Bhakti Yoga, There are all grihasthas. Yasdeva is a grihastha, right? And Prithu Maharaj was a grihastha. Dhruva Maharaj was a grihastha. Prahlad Maharaj, great devotee, he is a grihastha. There are also brahmacharis. There is Narada Muni. There is four Kumaras. There is Bhishma Dev, great devotee. Arjuna is a grihastha. Yudhishthira Maharaj is a grihastha. Bhima is a grihastha. So flexibility is there in bhakti. The main point is, are you considerate of God in every aspect of your life, or are you just driven by your desires and plans to achieve material things of this world? That's the what's your focus? Where is your consciousness? Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you.
Can you give me 1 second? Somebody just ring my bell. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasach
Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasa
jnanadhyanam vishishyate
jnanadhyanam visishtate
jnanat karma phala tyagas
dhyanat karma phala tyagas
tyagat chantir anantaram.
tyagachantir anantaram.
So this is the next level. Krishna is giving stages of practice. Go, please read.
If you can
Please read.
If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. But by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind.
See, after telling about renunciation of work, renunciation of fruits of work, Krishna is saying, if you can't even renounce the fruits of work, then try to first acquire some knowledge. Read some Gita, read some books of spiritual wisdom. Better than knowledge. Just reading theoretical knowledge is not good. Better than knowledge is meditation. Keep your mind on the Supreme. The best meditation is actually chanting. But if you can't do, just sit down in meditation and keep your focus on the absolute truth. Right? And better than meditation is actually renunciation of fruits. This is what is described in the previous verse. So these are all in a sequence. Right? The best is always spontaneously love Krishna. That is the first step. Spontaneously love God. Could be Krishna, Rama, Narsimha, whoever, Vishnu Tattva. Right? If you can love that form of the Lord, that is the best. If you can't develop that unconditional love for God, which is not possible for 99.99% of people to begin with, because heart has the hankerings for so many things in this world. So at least perform regulative principles of bhakti. Regulative principles means chanting every day, worshipping. That is better. If you can't even perform regulative principles, offer the fruits of your actions to me. Meaning you offer some, you whatever fruits that you achieve, do everything for me. Meaning you whatever you do, think of me and do. right? You engage in your work, but think that the fruits are for Lord Krishna, right? Or use whatever you earn or whatever in the service of Lord. If you can't even do that, if you can't even offer to Lord, then just be detached from the fruits. That is the previous verse, right? Just be detached from the fruits, right? Give up results of work and try to be self-situated. You don't know where the destination of the fruits is, so just detach yourself. So if you can't even detach, then first read, develop some knowledge, do some meditation. But better than meditation is giving up fruits. This is how order of things are. Right? So you can see the stages of bhakti or the hierarchy of spiritual perfection. Right? So the entire spirituality is actually embedded in these verses, the stages of devotion, right? Or stages of spiritual development, you can say. Actually, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, these are all yogas connecting one to the Supreme. But they're not 4 different paths to achieve perfection. They are actually steps on a staircase. Based on this, you can clearly understand actually Jnana Yoga. What is Jnana Yoga? Better than knowledge, right? Meditation. Jnana Yoga is inferior to Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga is where Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana. You perform meditation there. So Jnana Yoga is inferior to Ashtanga Yoga. This just based on this one line here. And Ashtanga Yoga is inferior to Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga by definition, right? You just renounce the fruits. But actually Karma Yoga is less than Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga means you work, but actually I understand that the fruits are for Lord. The fruits of my action are for the pleasure of the Lord. So that is Buddhi Yoga. Better than Buddhi Yoga is actually Bhakti Yoga, the highest form of, where one, again, Bhakti Yoga has 2 stages. One is the regulated Bhakti, when one practices, like all of us, most of us, and the higher is spontaneously performing Bhakti, where one has his heart filled with Lord, so he just offers himself in love for God. Right? That is the hierarchy of yogas. Right? It's very clear. So this is the end of this section for today. Okay, so we'll end the class here. I hope you understood very clearly the stages of spiritual development. And when one says, hey, I'm a karma yogi, I'm a this thing, that thing, you understand that this is not the highest. This is all, steps on a stairway, ultimately leading to Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, one has to come to Bhakti Yoga. That's why Krishna says here, Bahuna, of all the yogis, you see, all the yogis means Jnana Yogi, Dhyana Yogi, Karma Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, and Bhakti Yogi. All the yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, Bhakti Yogi, thinks of me, Bhakti Yogi, within himself and renders service, transcendental loving service to me means Bhakti. He is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. You see very clearly. So combining this section of the 6 verses and this verse 647, we know very clearly Bhakti is the highest. Correct? Any doubts? You all agree? Bhakti is the highest?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. Okay, so we end the class here. Class is done for today. We covered very well all the concepts here. So I want to talk to you all about Kartik Mass, which is starting tomorrow, where every day we offer we read, we pray, we sing Damodarastakam, very beautiful prayer to Lord Damodara. It's a very auspicious month, and by performing this Damodara month, vrata. Vrata is basically offering a lamb to Lord every single day. At your home, you can do. By practicing that, one achieves 1,000 times more spiritual benefit, right, than every other day of the year. Right? So it is a very dear month to the Lord. So I encourage everybody to actually perform this Kartik month at your own place. And I am considering that we can all join together and perform as a group, meaning we'll sing, one of us can sing and offer the arati. You can all, have a picture of Krishna and offer at your own home the lamp. And in this way, we can all be engaged in devotion service every day. So if it is possible for you, let me know. Varalakshmi Mataji suggested we can do as a group together. So if you all want to join, we can do it together. So I'm thinking in the evening we can do it around 7 p.m. That way it's after office hours, and it's of course from India it is in the early morning hours. It will be around 7:30, I believe. So if you all can join, we can do it together. So let me know if you can raise your hands if it is possible. Like it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to do this.
Difficult from India, Prabhu. Early morning, so.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it takes only 10 minutes. You don't need to show your video. I mean, it's just, if you can show video, that's also great. Just here and offer the lamp. It's a great thing if you can do, but up to you. I mean, it's very difficult. Even if one member in the family can do, that'll be great. And if we have, less people, then I'll recommend there is a group which is already doing the every day, and you can join that group if only like 1 or 2 of you. So let me know. You can message me if you want to think about this, and and by the way, if you like to sing, you can sing. It's not mandatory. I'll encourage all of you to join and sing.
Prabhu, are there any early morning slots?
Oh,
by 6.
we do in the evening, which is early morning for you. Oh, early morning means
Early morning 6 or 5:36.
Okay. I think 6:30 is going to be there.
Prabhuji, what about 6:30? 6:30 means India will be 7 o'clock, right?
Is that better time? You can do it at 6:30.
7 o'clock is fine, Prabhu. Yeah, that should work.
Okay. Yeah. Then let's do 6:30. 6:30 a.m. Sorry, 6:30 p.m. for Pacific time. So if you are in in East Coast, it will be 9:30 for Mataji.
Okay. No, I can participate in that, Prabhuji, so I can see at least you people are doing.
Right. So the only requirement is if you can, have the lamp, and what is that, the wick with ghee. You can at your home, if you can, you might be offering already oil lamp, but this we offer with ghee lamp. You don't need to have a cup full of ghee. You can just put the wick in the ghee and use that much. It will light for at least 10 minutes. That is good enough.
Can I do it in the morning, Prabhuji, before I go to office? And then I can see when you are doing in the evening.
You can do that. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
I'll share the
Link
for singing and all. Okay.
Yeah.
The lyrics, and I'll also share some recordings of the past, some good singers. Right. Okay. So we'll do that. And
so we need the Krishna idol as well, Prabhu.
Ideally, I'll send you a picture which really can be kept for this program. which is basically Damodara, where Lord Krishna was running away from Yashoda, is trying to catch him. That picture is there. Right?
Oh, when he was a baby, Prabhuji.
Yeah, when he was a baby.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm getting a call.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll end the call here. Thank you all.
Thank
Sure,
you,
Prabhu. Thank you.
Prabhuji. Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.